There's going to be a day, and you are in your retirement now, whether you're preparing or whether you're not, but there's going to come a day when the last load of logs goes down the road to the mill, and you've got to live off of what you've made while you're working, whether that's a time that you want it to happen or a time that has to happen. So hopefully it'll be a time when you want it to happen. But to give you some background on me, I feel like I'm in a room with a lot of friends. I started out after high school. I attended diesel mechanic school, and I worked in the logging woods for 10 years before I went back and got an accounting degree. But I've been there, and I've changed the U-joints with a knuckle on the skidder shut to the side, and had the sledgehammer hit me on a sleeting day in Nacogdoches. And so I'm going to say that as a screen, so it could be back to that sledgehammer if something I say is anyway. But I did like I say, I made my living in the logging woods. I worked on skidders, and then I worked for a little company called Champion on 103 West, if y'all remember that back in those days. I worked there for a while. I am with First Bank and Trust, and our trust department is approximately $600 million. About half of that is retirement plans, and that's the part that I do for the bank there. And there's a couple of things. If you don't hear anything else I say today, remember this: don't count on Social Security. And if you'll remember, if you've seen on the news all the goings on in Wisconsin, a lot of that has to do with their state retirement, which would be that. And I guess the most important thing I want you to remember today is you can't finance your retirement. You can send your kids to school on a note, you can buy a skidder on a note, you can buy a loader, but you can't finance your retirement. It's up to you while you're here. And if you want to go to sleep at this point, that's fine. But just keep that in the back of your mind. I don't care if you're running the place, if you're running a skidder, or if you own a fleet of, logging equipment and run several jobs. Just keep in mind that is going to be something that we got to do on our own. And the government, with the plans that we're going to go over today, and I'm not going to go over all of them. And in the back, there's going to be some pamphlets that I'm going to leave with you that talks about some of this as well. And if you've got questions, I've also got a brochure on our trust department with my card in it. Be happy to visit with you at any time that this would be an interest to you. But with any rate, that's kind of where we're going to start. And then next, these are the roughly the top plans that we're going to go over today. I'm going to go kind of in order from the ones maybe with the least amount of options to the ones that have a little bit more power windows and door locks on them, so to speak. So, and if you'll also keep a filter as I go through this, a lot of the numbers and some of the rules, it's all subject to what the legislature passes or inflation figures and this type thing. So the numbers are, in essence, what I'm going to let you, share with you will be current, but it could change due to, some limits or this sort of thing. I'd like to start with the IRA, and the IRA is what I'm talking about here. First of all, the IRA stands for Individual Retirement Account, and I get the question pretty regular that, well, my wife has one. Can we join them together? Well, no, it's individual, so it's not even you and your wife here. It's your own plan here. And this is probably the most basic of any type retirement account. As far as entry requirements, if you're under 70 and a half, and you have earned income, you can have an IRA. Okay, so that's basically the all you have to do is, I guess, breathe and be under 70 and a half working. You're eligible to have an IRA. The vesting on that, and when I'm talking about vesting, this plan and several others will be not subject to a vesting. That means the money is yours 100% from day one. Some of the plans that we'll get to a little later have a vesting schedule, and I'll go over that once we get there. You can contribute a maximum in these plans of $5,000 a year. That's with and that's one of those numbers that can change with inflation or however the government decides to let us do it. The catch-up is for $1,000 if you're over 50. And while I'm here, I want to start with in the deductions and all this starts out. But one thing, when we're talking about the maximum of $5,000, well, that may sound like a lot or not much or whatever it is to you. But when people come in to talk about retirement, I have these in my desk drawer. I brought them today. And I also have this. I want to share what this is with you. First of all, this is from our friends at Abitibi. And it's dated fall of 2003. And it says, Lufkin Mill operation on a positive track. Right there in black and white. Another thing I'd like to share with them is the fact I was cleaning out my wife's grandmother passed away, and we went down to her home to pick up her house, and I found these in a desk drawer, and I said, I'm going to keep that. But it's been probably one of the most important tools, these right here, to tell you why you need to be thinking about, if nothing else, an IRA. I'm looking here at a TP&L. If y'all remember, that used to be what everyone called the light company. And as a Valor water bill, okay? I'm looking here, the April bill was $7.96 on lights. And then we got to the summertime and it really went up and it was $9.24. The water bill was $8 every time, I guess she never went over the maximum. Now, if that doesn't prove where we are today, and you put that a little further down the road 20 years where we're going, that's why we have to get something started and get it invested. Back on the IRA, your contributions have to stop when you're 70 and a half on this type of IRA, and RMDs need to start, and RMDs are required minimum distributions, and that's based on the balance of the account and your age. That would start whenever you're 70 and a half. Everyone in the room, if you haven't done one, are still eligible to do one for 2010. If you have not filed your income tax, April 15th is the deadline to fund your your 2010 contribution, and you can also do a contribution for 2011 anytime up till this time next year. So anything on IRAs, if we'll go on to Roth from this point, and that's an old 225 Timberjack if I'm looking right, but that's probably a little cheaper when that was new than what you can go out and buy something today too. But the entry requirements are basically the same on your Roth IRA. The main difference in these, the vesting's the same, your maximum contribution of $5,000, a catch-up of $1,000. Then you get down to the amount of contribution. And on your Roth, now this is 2010. If you had joint adjusted gross income between you and your wife of 167 or less, you can fully contribute to a Roth IRA. And if you don't have a contribution of any type up to this point, this is the one I would recommend. It's not deductible going in. It's just like money I like to call soda water money. You can go and buy soda water with it or whatever you want to. It's after-tax dollars. But this is non-deductible going in, but the beauty of this one is it comes out and it's not taxed, okay? And if you would have invested this in something like stocks last year, on my 401k that I administered for the bank, the stock portion of that did 18% last year. Well, if that would have been in a Roth, I don't have to pay on that 18% gain. I think anyone in the room would take a deal like that. There is some, you have to have a 5-year holding period. And then there's some, there's some gotchas on here that I would go over with you if you want to talk about it later. But mainly, if you're 59 and a half and you've held it 5 years, it comes out tax-free. Another good thing on the Roth is there is no RMD. So if you wanted to do some estate planning and you could go ahead and start your Roth now, then this money can go to your heirs, and then they can take it, when they want to. You don't have to start taking it out, in other words, in a required distribution type thing. So these are very attractive, and they increased our amounts here. I think we're on 169 is for 11. I updated it. My note is on for 10, but the 169 is this year. So if that's something that would work, these are great plans and very simple to operate. And then we go on to a SEP. This is where we're getting in. Now, the SEP is where we were only looking at a $5,000 or $6,000 contribution. Now we're looking at more contribution, and you can put more significant dollars away. You can put 25% of your income, or $49,000. So it's the lesser of the two. So you're able to put away more significant dollars on this plan. The entry requirements on this, there is a little bit of requirements now that we have more than we did on the IRAs. The SEP, you can hold them out if they're under 21 years of age, and if they haven't worked with you three of the last 5 years, then you can hold them out. But if they work for you 3 years and made $550, they're in the plan. And that's kind of the negative about the SEP. It's only available to employers under 100 employees, which should catch pretty much anyone in the room, I would think. And then you've got the vesting on this one is 100%, like we talked about. Everything up to this point, the vesting has been 100%, so you don't have to hold the. You don't have to worry about a vesting schedule. So this SEP, we're getting in more of than the SEP, and I talk in alphabet soup, and I'm sorry, but that's self-employed pension. So I'll try to catch those as we go through.